Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this session, we will be discussing about architecture of Linux. Prior to this, we discussed about what is an operating system, and then we discussed different types of operating system, what is the difference between graphical user interface and command line based interface. Then we discussed functions of operating system. Then we briefly discussed what is Linux, why you should learn Linux, what are the benefits of learning Linux, and then we discussed Linux in cloud, how it will help you, and then we also discussed about Linux distributions. Okay, now in today's session, we are going to look at architecture of Linux. So let's start. So I hope my screen is visible to you all. Let me enlarge this. Yes, this is the architecture of Linux. Okay, now it's a layered file format. Basically, application layer is there, or you can also call it a user space. Then we have shell, which is the command interpreter in Linux. Then we have the kernel, which is the heart of Linux operating system. And then finally, we have the hardware. Okay, so let's start from the outermost layer, which is the user space. Let me write it. This is also called, let me change this to medium and colors. I think white is fine. Okay. User space. Now, what is this user space? So this is the outermost layer, okay? And this is the layer from where we interact with the Linux system, okay? So whenever we write any command like ls command, cd command, or any other command, we are going to learn about commands very soon in the next lectures. So whatever commands we write in Linux, so that we write in this outermost layer, and after this outermost layer, that is interpreted by the shell. So shell becomes very important. So let me write a few lines about user space here. User space. This is the outermost layer where user interacts with the system. Okay. And how do they interact? They interact using shell. Okay. Or GUI, whatever it is. But since we are using a Linux, so we will be interacting with the shell. Now let's understand what is this shell. Okay. Now shell is the interpreter. It is a bridge between the user and, so this is the user space. Users are out at this layer, and shell is the intermediary between user and the kernel. Okay, so it acts as a bridge between user and the kernel. Let me write about the shell here. The shell. Okay, shell is a interpreter. So whatever you commands you write, it is interpreted by the shell. What is meant by interpreted? See, whenever you write cd command, ls command, or any other command which is recognized by Linux, so it is actually stored in the shell. Okay, if you are writing correct command, then shell will authorize, yeah, it's the correct command, I know what it does, and then it will perform that activity. Okay, I will show you practically also today. Examples of shell are bash shell, sh, zsh. So these are one of the most common examples. Okay, what does the shell do? It, as I told, it translates user command into system calls. Shell is like a container. Okay, you can remember this. Shell is like a container. It contains the commands. It is also like a user. It's like an interface between user and the kernel. Shell is an interface between user and the kernel. Okay, the default shell in Linux is bash shell only. So you will see also. Right now I'm going to show you practically also. Okay, and whenever you want to run commands, this is done by the shell only, because it acts as a intermediary between the kernel and the users. Okay, now let's move ahead. So you understood what is shell. Okay, now there are many types of different Linux shells. So let me write it here. Types of Linux shells. So yes, these are the Linux shell: GNOME, KDSH, also called Born Again, Bash Shell, Born Again Shell, Scheme Shell, ZSH. Okay, and yeah, that is about shells. Now let's discuss about kernel. Let me see if I can find this arrow downwards. No, this is shell, right? This is user space. Now we are learning about the kernel. Don't worry, I will provide you the notes. You just write in the comments. I will give you a detailed notes. Okay, this is just to make you understand, but I will give you a structured notes if you require. Now let's learn about Linux kernel very briefly. Okay, because today we are going to see practicals also, and I don't want to just teach theory. I want to start the practicals as soon as possible because it's already second or third lecture and we have not started practicals. So, as I promised you, it will be a practical based learning, but you need to understand these things. Okay, these are the most basic things which you need to understand before learning Linux. So that's why I'm teaching you these all things. Okay, without understanding this also, you can move ahead, but it's highly recommended since you are learn from the scratch. Okay, so that you don't have to learn again. And if someone tells you what is Linux kernel and Linux shell, so that you are not blank. Okay, you must understand. That's why I'm telling you only the basic things. Now, Linux kernel is the main component of Linux. Okay, this is also called heart of Linux. This is also called heart of Linux operating system. Okay, see, any Linux distribution, whatever distribution you see here, you see Linux distribution, all are based on this Linux kernel only. Same Linux kernel plus some other softwares, okay, which was modified, but they are based on same kernel only. Therefore, it's called the heart of the operating system. So kernel is known as the heart of operating system. Okay, the kernel is the main component of the Linux operating system, and kernel is sits between the shell and the hardware. It's the interface between computer hardware and the processes which are running. Hence, it's the most important. Now, what is the requirement of kernels? As I told, it's the most important component in the Linux operating system. So, the main operations of kernels are as follows, which is memory management, process management, device drivers, system calls, and securities. So, all of these things are taken care by kernel. Now, you understood? So, any operating system is designed like this only. Windows also, you have hardware component, and on the top of it you have operating system. Now operating system, internal design, internal architecture must be, it could be anything. Windows it's something else, but it's based like this only. Okay, because what was OS, you remember, I wrote also, os acts as a communication bridge between the user and computer hardware. See, this is the computer hardware and this is the OS, and here we have users. So users, this is sits in between. Okay, we have users, we have OS, and then we have hardware. So in order to communicate with the hardware, users cannot directly communicate with the hardware, they require operating system. The structure of the operating system could be anything. So right now we learned, we have this one, Linux. This is the architecture of Linux. Okay, so internally this hardware you see here, this is this hardware. Okay, and architecture is this. We have user write the command, we have shell, which is nothing but an command interpreter of Linux, and then we have kernel, which acts as the main component of the Linux. So that was about the architecture of Linux. Now let's see something practically. Okay, so I'm opening my Linux terminal, which is I'm doing practicals on uh, sorry, Amazon Linux. Now what is Amazon Linux? This is also an OS only, built by Amazon on top of Linux. This is also Linux distribution only. So we are going to see this one right now. Okay. Later maybe we'll see Ubuntu or Red Hat, but now since I'm going to show you some practicals, that's why I choose this one, because I have launched an EC2 instance from AWS. Now, what is EC2 instance? What is AWS? So AWS, you must be knowing, is a Amazon cloud provider service, and using this we can create virtual machines. Okay, so instead of downloading Linux from browsers, what I did was I could have used virtual machines. I have, but currently I'm using Cloud's virtual machine. I'm using virtual machine only, but it's being provided by Amazon Cloud. So it's quite easy for me. I will tell you the steps, and I would also suggest you to use AWS only to launch your instances, and use Linux instances directly from AWS, because it's very, very easy, and you can get any instances. Right now I'm using Amazon Linux. You can also get all the other instances. You can get Red Hat, Ubuntu, Fedora, CentOS, and many other. There are thousands of images there. Okay, so you can use any. Right now we are using Amazon Linux. Got it? So I have launched an EC2 instance, and I am showing you the virtual machine right now. See, this is our. I hope my screen is visible. Okay, so EC2 user. EC2 is nothing but EC2 instance. It's a virtual machine provided to us by Amazon Web Services. Okay, we have launched it. Now, for example, there is a command in Linux, date. If I type date and press enter, see, it's showing me the date, Monday, July 7, 6:48. This is UTC, that's why it's 6:48. Okay, it's not IST. Now, what if I write the wrong command? Now, see, the date command was present in Linux shell. So it recognized, yes, date is a valid command, and it executed this command, talked to the kernel and showed the output. Okay. Now, suppose I write the wrong command here. Instead of date, I write DAT. Enter. See, command not found. But one thing that you must observe here is, see this one, bash, command not found. This means that the shell which Amazon is using is bash. Okay, and bash is telling us this command is not found. Sorry boss, I don't have this command. What do you mean? I don't know, because it's not prefed to me. Okay, what about the data command? No, I don't know about this only. What about date command? Oh yes, this is the date command. You get the output here. Similarly, for example, to create any file in Linux, we use vi command, or we use touch command. So let me show you. If we do ls, we can see all the commands, all the files which are present in the present working directory. So right now we don't have anything present here. Let me make a file here. touch touch command. Say file one. I am making file one. Enter. Okay. Now you do ls. See, we are getting file one. Okay. Now, for example, I did lss. See, command not found. Okay. So you understood, right? From tomorrow onwards, we will deep dive into the practicals. I will show you how you can create your account on AWS and how you can launch EC2 instance and use Linux, then learn Linux. Okay, you don't need any third-party software to install any virtual machine. You don't need it. We will just use AWS resources. And later, I am also planning to cover AWS also, that so that will be beneficial for you. Okay, so okay, it was a short session. We discussed about Linux architecture. We discussed about how Linux works, what is the user space. So user space is nothing but uh, the commands, all the commands which you write, that is the user space. Let me write the commands we wrote, like we wrote date command, we wrote ls command, we could have written cd command. Okay, not only commands, Linux commands are also written here, and all the operations which is performed like installing software, installing packages inside Linux, all is done in this layer only. So from tomorrow onwards, we will see how you can install packages inside Linux. In Windows, what you do, you go double click, install, and then next, finish. So that we do in Windows, but in Linux, we don't do like that. Okay, there is completely a different process. We are going to learn in depth how to perform those from tomorrow's session. I could have dealt with today, but I want to keep it just for the architecture portion. So this is the architecture of Linux, and yeah, we did done with the user space layer, the shell layer, which is nothing but the command interpreter of Linux. We saw some examples of shell. These are the different types. Most popular is the bash. It converts commands into system calls. It's like a container. It is an interface between user, this is the user space, user layer, and the kernel. Then we saw kernel. This is the heart of the operating system, which interacts with the hardware. Hardware. It is the main component of the operating system. It is a core interface between a computer hardware and its processes. Okay, so we are done, and then we saw a few commands in Linux, AWS Linux, and from tomorrow we are going to start practicals. From tomorrow, everything will be done using practical based approach. Okay, so thank you. I'm done, and yeah, module 1 and module 2 are over. Sorry, chapter 1 and chapter 2 are over from tomorrow. So this was only theoretical portion is mostly over. Okay, from tomorrow we will be starting everything in practically we'll learn. Okay, so here I'm writing practicals. Okay, theory is over 1 and 2, and now practicals. Okay, so thank you guys. Let's meet tomorrow, and if you have any queries or if you want notes, I can provide you notes in a structured manner also. Please write in the comment your email address. I will mail it to you. Okay, I have not currently posted it on the GitHub. I will post it on the GitHub and later paste it in the description also. But if you like my videos and want notes, can share it on your email also. Okay, so that you don't have to wait, because in the end I will share all the notes. Okay, so yeah, thank you, and I think I will end the session here. Okay, thank you guys.